I know. I'm glad to be home to see y'all.
Yeah.
So how you been?
I'm doing better. I'm doing much better. Just getting over, surgery. I had went to the doctor and me. That that's kind of like my thought. Like me sick? Like for real? I got too much to do. I'm busy. I'm trying to be sick, but had been experiencing something in my body and was feeling like, okay, this is not normal. I have been sharing with my husband, was like, I'm going to the doctor. And after 3 different appointments, finally made it to the doctor. And my doctor laid hands on me and prayed for me, was a believer.
Wow.
Amazing. And from that point, when he asked me, could he pray for me, I knew I was good.
Wow.
No matter what the diagnosis was, I knew I was good. It was like God putting his stamp of approval on me, like, you can do this. You can go through this because I got you. And he scheduled me immediately that same day for a CAT scan. And then went and did that and got the results back that it was a tumor. And it was located, it was actually extending from my liver. And so the next stage was to determine whether it was cancerous, what it was. And so where I had been living an everyday normal lifestyle, just going about and doing what I do, now I'm faced with this whole thing of potentially, having a tumor that's cancerous or whatever. And so, but God had me in such a place of peace. Then on top of that, had to preach my first sermon, knowing what was going on in my body and still making a decision to say yes to the will of God. Right. And not complaining, it wasn't until after everything was over and going back to the doctor and really finding out what the actual diagnosis was, I cried. But through that whole process, because I was in such a place of knowing and peace, that God had me. Even through the surgery, what was supposed to be a 4-hour surgery ended up being a 2-hour surgery. Going through that recovery, 2 days in ICU, coming out of the surgery, and heart kept stopping, breathing was off, and finally getting that adjusted, and just knowing that God had me. And the one thing I will say is, that morning after coming out of surgery, I called my friend Toyo. I said, "Get me that William McDowell CD, get it in, I need it today." I woke up hearing this song. She brought that to me, and as a worshiper, the tears began to roll. I couldn't sing, I couldn't lift my hands, but having a heart of worship and being able to do that was life for me. Because as a worshiper, God is the very air that I breathe. And so even being in that place and just knowing that God is God and he is yet worthy, and I have found myself, I've made a declaration that every day through this process, I'm going to give God thanks for something. The only reason why you know what's going on is because I made a decision to let you into my world and to say, hey, this is what's going on. And to get yourself checked out. You hear your body talking to you, take those precautions, make those steps, go to the doctor, get tested, because a lot of times in the African American community, we don't do it because of insurance issues, we don't do it because of fear. We don't do it because I'm too busy. Well, you're too busy not to. Because the one thing I found out about my diagnosis, or what they diagnosed the situation, because it's not mine. That's the first thing I told the doctor. This tumor doesn't belong to me. This is not mine. And so, as I said, getting that thing, getting checked out and finding out what's going on. And as I was saying about the diagnosis, is that this type of cancer, this type of issue, it hides, and it doesn't usually show up until it's in its final stages. So the fact that I was able to go and find out what was going on and to actually be able to have this tumor removed was nothing but the hand of God. Because if it was left up to the enemy, it would have been the final stages before I found out. But the thief was found out, and it had to be removed. So that's just a little bit about me, what's going on. I'm just excited about life, about being here, about new opportunities. What's going on with you?
Well, first,
Oh, y'all, this is my son, Matthew.
Yes, this is my mother, Mama Jodi, who I love very dearly. And first, I just have to give thanks to God because I did not know that you were sick. I knew you were going into surgery, but I didn't know that you were sick. So to find out that all of this happened, I give God praise all the more, you know, because your life to me is very, very important. And you have such a calling on your life, and you're just a powerful, anointed woman of God. You really, really are. And I saw that from the minute you walked into one of our rehearsals for Mark some years ago. I knew it. I had heard about you, but when I saw you, it was all over you. And I was like, this woman ain't no joke. And I believe even in a rehearsal, you had said a few words of like just, you know, quick little exhortation or whatever, and it was anointed. I believe we cried right then in the classroom. So I just thank God for your life, and I thank God that you're healed, completely healed, and I'm glad He brought you out. And this is an awesome way to start 2012 for you, and I'm so happy because it's an awesome way. And I got a prophecy from Dr. Carolyn Showell. Have you ever heard of her? She preached at my church up in New York, and she said 12 stands for the sacredness of the structure of God. When you think about it, it's 12 gates to the holy city, 12 disciples, 12 tribes of Israel, and to me, she was just saying how that means in 2012 everything is lining up, and everything that went upside down in 2011 has to turn right side up in 2012. And look at what God has already done for your life. Everything that tries to work against you in 2011, tries to work towards your body, tries to work towards your health, is completely turned around in 2012.
Yes. And the one thing I will say really quickly is that obedience is the key. And I was sharing that my pastor, Dolores, encouraged me to do a 100-day consecration. I didn't do it the first time, but I did it in June, from June to September. And that, I believe, prepared my body for what was to come. And when God gives us instructions about certain things to do, we don't always understand what the outcome is going to be. We just have to find ourselves of being in a place of saying yes, in that place of obedience, because obedience is the highest form of worship. You're talking about you're a worshiper, you're a worship leader, then obey. If you can do that, get there first. You know, and everything else will follow, and everything else will line up. So I truly believe that my obedience to God in just that area began to set things in place. And then also just said, okay, you know what, devil, you can do this, but you can only go so far. So even my doctor said, if you were going to have this type of tumor, you couldn't ask for it to be located in a better place because of where it was extending from my liver. It was almost as if all they had to do was to go in and just disconnect it. And so I'm grateful, love you. I'm so glad you're here. Stop inside, and we are excited about 2012. We love you all. God bless you.
Love you. God bless.